Hello everyone, welcome to day 4 of Prelims Rescue series. In this video, we are going to discuss some of the topics related to the climatology and also some of the topics related to the January current affairs. Now, here we can see that the thickness of the troposphere is greater at the equator compared to the poles. So, this fact we need to remember for the prelims examination. So now let's see what is the science behind it. As the equator gets more insolation compared to the poles, so the landmass at the equator warms up, and the air which is above it will receive the heat from the landmass. So the air will receive the heat from the landmass and it will gets warmer, and it starts moving to the higher altitudes, and the air mass which is a colder will be sinking at the equator. Due to this scenario, the layer of the tropopause at the equator is more thicker compared to the poles. Here it will be the thicker, and here it is thinner compared to the layer at the equator. Now the Coriolis force. Coriolis force is nothing but the force which is due to the rotation of Earth. Okay, so it is directly proportional to the wind velocity. If the wind velocity is greater, then Coriolis force is also greater. If wind velocity increases, then Coriolis force will also increase. It is maximum at the poles and minimum at the equator. We have seen that the thickness of the troposphere is max at the equator and minimum at poles. But in contrary, with the Coriolis force, the equator is minimum. At the equator, Coriolis force is minimum, and at the poles, it is maximum. So these are the simple facts which we need to remember, because we have the tendency to forget these small facts, but these are most important things, because in prelims examination these are the kinds of facts which they will ask in the examination. Okay, now let's go to the next topic, that is a water vapor. So in the earth, if we go to the higher altitude, as the altitude increases, the water vapor concentration decreases. So, and also the water vapor is also maximum at equator, similar to the troposphere, maximum at the equator and minimum at the poles. This is also the same reason, because it is also due to the insolation of the sun. At the equator there will be more insolation, and at the poles there will be the less insolation. Due to this, there's a more movement of water through evaporation to the higher atmospheric layers. Next we have the atmosphere. So atmosphere, so in this question I have the in examination they have asked that the atmosphere gets heated due to the short wave radiation. So this is wrong answer, because the this is our atmosphere, and the sun rays or the sun insolation which comes to the earth is known as the short wave radiation, and it and the earth receives the short wave radiation, but earth receives the short wave radiation, and which earth reflects back is known as the long wave radiation. So here one thing we need to remember is the atmosphere gets heated up due to the long wave radiation or the terrestrial radiation, which is reflected back by the earth or released by the earth. The radiation which is released by the sun is known as a short wave radiation. The long wave radiation which is released by the earth is received by carbon dioxide and some of the greenhouse gases. Due to this scenario, we are experiencing and climate change and greenhouse gas emission. Due to this gas emissions, we are experiencing global warming. That means the earth is getting heated up. Now let's move to next topic, that is the stratosphere. So stratosphere is the second strata of the atmosphere, that is the second layer after tropopause. we have the troposphere, next we have tropopause, then comes a stratosphere. So the stratosphere starts from the next to the tropopause, so it continues up till 50 kilometers. Okay, so here the scenario is for the 25 kilometers above the tropopause, the temperature will be constant, but when it crosses the 25th kilometer and when it enters the 26th kilometer, then the temperature starts getting increased. So the temperature increases after the 26th kilometer. So in the troposphere, the temperature is decreasing as the altitude is increasing. That means altitude is inversely proportional to the temperature in the troposphere. But in stratosphere, the altitude is directly proportional to the temperature after 25th kilometer. So this is a one more important thing which we need to remember in the stratosphere. Temperature is directly proportional to the altitude, and also due to this scenario there is a stabilizing condition. That means anything that is aeroplanes are also flying in this layer, because there is a very stabilizing condition compared to the troposphere. And also ozone also present in the stratosphere. Next we have the ionosphere. So ionosphere is extended from 80 kilometers to the 4000 kilometers. In ionosphere we have the electric charges. So due to that electric charges, the antennas or the radiations or the signals which we send from the earth will be reflected back by the electric charges which are present in the ionosphere. So this is a thing. Next we have the situation of lack of cyclone in South Atlantic. Why does South Atlantic does not experience a cyclonic condition? The reasons are the sea surface temperatures is cooler, because as the temperature of the sea should be 27 degrees Celsius or above to occur a cyclone. So in the South Atlantic Ocean, the sea surface temperature is cooler, which does not encourage the formation of the cyclone. Okay, this is one thing we need to remember. And also it has a lack of vorticity. Vorticity is nothing but how it defines how much a fluid is capable of rotating or turning. So there is a lack of vorticity in the region of South Atlantic. Next, there is a no formation of ITCZ. That is nothing but intertropical convergence zones. So in some other video we'll detailedly cover this ITCZ, because it is a very detailed topic which we need to cover. Just you need to remember that there is a no formation of ITCZ. That's why there's a no formation of cyclone in the region of the South Atlantic. Next we have the cyclone. So when does cyclone forms? When it has a low atmospheric pressure. Low atmospheric pressure means higher temperatures. So, and also here we need to remember these two basic facts, because these are the kind of facts which the examiner asked in prelims, because these appear very simple, but also there's a one key thing where we confuse is this appears very similar. That's why we tend to confuse a lot. So here is a thing. So cyclone in the northern hemisphere rotate counterclockwise, in counterclockwise, and in the southern hemisphere the the cyclone rotates in the clockwise direction. Northern hemisphere counterclockwise, southern hemisphere clockwise direction. Next we have the dew. The ideal conditions for the formation of the dew is the clear sky, calm air, high relative humidity, and the cold and the long nights. So, and also one thing is there should be dew point which is greater than the freezing point. So dew point is nothing but in the atmosphere, where, where the air is filled with the water vapor and it does not have a capacity. It reaches the saturation level where it occupied with the whole water vapor, and it do not accept any further addition of water vapor. So this situation is, water vapor is nothing but gaseous form. So this situation is known as the dew point. The temperature at which the air mass cannot tolerate or reaches it the saturation level, and it does not accept further addition of the gaseous form of water, is known as the dew point. Okay. Next, freezing point. Freezing point is nothing but the temperature at which liquid turns into solid. For water it is 32 degrees Celsius and 32 degrees Fahrenheit and 0 degrees Celsius. Next we have the femtogenesis. Femtogenesis is a process where the air masses meet to form or have a change in the weather conditions. So here I am going to just see one of the type of the femtogenesis, and other three you guys need to comment in the comment section. So where the warmer air move towards the colder air is known as the warm front. Where the warm front reaches and moves towards the cold front is known as the warm front. So in this way we have the three more types of fronts. So you guys need to comment it in the comment section, please do it. And the air masses where the both meet is known as the front. Next we have this diagram, which is very important because here we can see the ITCZ zone. This is the intertropical convergence zones where the northeast trade winds meets and also southeast trade winds meets. Basically in this picture, where I got wrong was, or where I didn't answer the question was here, that is a polar cell, Ferrel cell and Hadley cell. So we need to remember that. First of all, I'll basically try to explain you the situation, what happens here. If you guys can't understand in this video, let's try in some other video. So let's get started. First of all, here it is the earth. This is the intertropical convergence zone or equatorial low pressure belt. So this layer or this strata, this line, we call it as a equatorial low pressure belt. So why do we call it as equatorial low pressure belt? Because the sun insolation is very high in the region of this area, that is equatorial region. So due to the insolation of sun's rays, so it will become more, so the temperature in the region increases. So due to the increase in temperature, there will be the decrease in the pressure. So that's why we call it as a equatorial low pressure belt. Okay. So after decreasing the pressure, then what happens is the same situation. So in the equatorial region, the land gets heated up and the air mass which is above it will gets warmer, and it moves to the higher altitude. So it moves in this way to the higher altitude. After moving to the higher altitude, so this is the equatorial low pressure belt. So it moves this direction. So the air mass has moved up and it starts moving in this direction, and at some of the zone, that is nothing but the subtropical high pressure belt. That is at the high pressure region, the air mass will start sinking. So here the rain happens, and this region is cooler compared to this region. So basically the formula is the air mass moves from the high pressure area to the low pressure area. So here this that is subtropical high pressure. This is equatorial low pressure or ITCZ. Here this is the it becomes a subtropical high pressure. So we have seen that the air mass moves from high pressure to the low pressure areas. So here it starts moving from subtropical high pressure to the subtropical or intertropical convergence zone or equatorial low pressure, and also it moves in the to the upper latitudes. So the upper latitude here is a subtropical low pressure belt. It also moves. So it is a low pressure belt, and here it is a low pressure belt, it is a high pressure belt. And then here the thing again continues. The warm air reaches here, and the warm air gets heated up because it is a low pressure area, the temperature is higher, and the warm air gets higher. And here we have again the clouds, so it moves to the high pressure zones, and then it again sinks in. And so here from the subtropical low pressure region it moves to the poleward region, so it is a high pressure region. So this is the basic concept. If you guys understand this concept, it is well and good. If you don't understand, please do let me know in the comment section. I'll try to make a separate video on this topic. So these cells which we have seen here, no, the type of air masses which moves like this. So from that is ITCZ to subpolar high pressure belt. So this one circulation is known as the cell. It is called one cell. And from subtropical high pressure belt to the subtropical subpolar low pressure belt, it is known as another cell. We call it as a one cell, and we call it as a another cell. So the cell which is from ITCZ, that is equatorial low pressure belt, to the subtropical high pressure belt, we call it as a Hadley cell. Here is a Hadley cell. And from subtropical high pressure belt to the subpolar low pressure belt, we call it as a Ferrel cell. So here is a Ferrel cell. And from subpolar low pressure to the north polar cell, we call it as a polar cell. So subtropical low pressure to the to the polar vortex, we call it as a polar cell. So these three cells names which we need to remember for the prelims examination. Okay, next we have to cover the topics related to the schemes. So here is a scheme that is the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. So it comes under the Consumer Affairs, Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. And under this scheme it provides 5 kg food grains for the priority households, that is PHH. And it provides, under this scheme, government provides 35 kg food grains to the Antadya Anna Yojana holders, that is poorest of the poor people. So for PHH people, government gives 5 kg food grains. For Antadya Anna Yojana holders, government is giving 35 kgs. And here we got the SITE program. The SITE program comes under the National Green Hydrogen Mission, which is established in the year 2023. And next it promotes a green hydrogen technologies in the country. Next we have the BHISHM, that is Bharat Health Initiative for Sahyog Hita Maitri. So it is nothing but the mobile hospitals. Means we can establish this hospital under 120 minutes, so that there is a very good health infrastructure in rural areas, also to the rural connectivity of the health sector. So it is also called as Arogya Mitra DM Cube BHISHM. And also this BHM, the nothing but the mobile hospitals also conclude contains the AI technologies and also RFID technologies. Now we have the India's multi-dimensional poverty index. So in this multi-dimensional poverty index, the government or the report considers health, education, standard of living as a parameters or the indicators in this health, and each one contains a weightage of the 1 by third. And here the 1 by third is divided into the nutrition. In the health sector we consider the nutrition and the child and adolescent mortality is nothing but the death. Okay. and and also the report considers the maternal health, nothing but the health of the mother. In the education line we consider, or the government consider, the years of the schooling and the school attendance. In the standard of living section it considers the cooking fuel, sanitation, drinking water, housing, electricity, assets and bank account. So these are the main key information which we need to remember for the prelims examination. So this is the day 4. If you guys like the video, please do subscribe and share it to your close ones. So that's it for the video. Bye.